Hi, my name is Greg Fain, and I'm from Big Sur, California. About 3 years ago, I read White Rage by Carol Anderson, and I learned about the lynching of Mary Turner, which was very shocking. I'd never heard of that before. I think the most horrendous crime I'd ever heard of. And I also learned that Mary Turner was lynched in Valdosta, Georgia in 1918. The only other thing I ever knew about Valdosta, Georgia was that my father was born there in 1919, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I thought, my God, my grandfather could have been there. I came to find out my grandfather was still in World War I. However, friends of his could have been there. Other relatives of mine could have been there. And then I was just like, wow, what are the implications of this? My father never talked much about being from the South. He was, I think, ashamed of it. He was ashamed of his poverty. His family moved north during the Great Depression because they had nothing and no prospects. And it had never been discussed, the possibility that my family had slaveholding ancestors. So I thought, well, gosh, let's have a look. I got on Ancestry.com. It was very easy to ascertain that I have slaveholding ancestors. So far, I've identified 11, and I'm sure there are more. I'm quite certain there are more. None of them are remarkable. They moved around a lot, so it's kind of hard to do the genealogy. They were farmers. I'm sure they would have described themselves as farmers, and they enslaved people. So I thought, how could I have had such a blind spot about this for so long? How could my family have had such a blind spot about this for so long? And then I thought, well, it's the whole country. It's the whole country living in this state of denial, this great national cognitive dissonance, and I want it to end. I'm angry about it. I mentioned my father's poverty, and I could also say I didn't inherit anything from my parents, and that's a really famous white person dodge, because you know what? I went to the very best schools in a red-lined white neighborhood in a suburb of a city in southwestern Ohio as a kid, where they taught us nothing about slavery. My father had the GI Bill, housing loan, all the advantages of whiteness. So it has to be undone. It's crazy making. This panic about CRT, this turning away, constant turning away nationwide. And when I say crazy making, there's a legacy of substance abuse and mental illness that I live with. And I see it as totally connected. Everybody suffers from this. And this country is not going to prosper. Nothing's going to change unless we can all confront the truth together. So this is my little bit of doing that. I am so happy that I found coming to the table, because we don't have to do this alone. We could do this in community and support each other. And I think it's just the most necessary work. And I'm just committing my life to undoing racism from here on out.